butsu, namanda butsu, nomya butsu, namanda butsu, namanda butsu, namanda butsu.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Donna Mitoman. I'm going to be your service chair today. I'd like to welcome everybody and thank those who made the service possible. Sensei, Reverend Gibbs, flowers, Kyoko Okura Gibbs, always beautiful. Oh my goodness
Very
gracious,
lovely.
the colors are just really stunning today. Alan Goto for his technical expertise, and Kathy Kumagai, who's also our technical person. And our organist, Kathy Kumagai, today is not feeling well, so we are going to be a cappella, meaning no music. So may I ask that the Sangha please rise and for opening reflective meditation. Although there are many human beings in this world, each one of us has only one life. One person may own many cars and houses, but even the richest person in the world cannot possess more than one life. And when that is drawing to an end, he or she cannot buy, borrow, or manufacture another. When we lose this life, it will be very difficult to find another similarly qualified human life in the future. Therefore, for each of us, a human life is very rare. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Thank you. You may be seated. Next, we're going to have Sutra chanting, and we're going to chant San Butsuge on page 33 of our service book.
Again, we're going to be doing Sanbutsuge. If you have the physical text, that's page 33. Sanbutsuge section of the Dharma Ryoju Kyo. Busatsu Daimuryo Jukyo Sanbutsuge Kogen Gigi Ijin Mugoku Myode Enmyo Muyo Tosya Nichigaten Mani Shuko Enyo Kaishten Nonpe Yunyaku Jumoku Yolai Yogen Shote Murin Shogaku Daion Koru Jipo Kaimon Shojin Sammai Chie Itoku Muryo Shusho Keiu Jintai Zennen Shobuten Sokai Gujin Jinno Kungo Gaitai Mumyo Yokunu Seison Yomu Minno Shishi Shintoku Muryo Fukun Kodai Chie Jinmyo Komyo Iso Shindo Daisen Anga Sabuten Taisho Ho Kado Shoji Mihu Gedaten Use Joi Kainin Shojin Myode Sammai Chie Ijo Gothe Tokubuten Fugyo Shigan Isai Kuku Isa Dayan Keshi Ubuten Yakuten Okuman Muryo Daisho Shunyo Godya Fuyo Isai Shito Shobuten Funyo Gudo Kansho Hugyaku Inyo Godya Shobuten Sekai Ufu Kage Mushu Setendo Komyo Shisho Enshi Shokoku Yode Shojin Ijin Nanryo Yoga Sabuten Kokudo Daichi Goshu Kimyo Dojo Chozen Kokunyo Nayon Nimutoto Gato Aimin Dodaten Isai Jipo Laisho Shinneten Shoujo Ito Gakoku Keiraku Annon Kobuten Shinmyo Sega Shinsho Otugan no Hi Bikisho Shoyoku Jippo Seison Chie Muge Joryo Shison Shiga Shingyo Keiryo Shinshi Shoku Dokuchu Kagyo Shojin Ninju Ahuke. Namanabu, 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 namanabu. Gani shikudoku, byodo sei isai, doden modai shin ojo. Namo Mira Butsu, Namo Mira Butsu, Namo Mira Butsu, Namo Mira Butsu, Namo Mira Butsu.
Next, we'll have Gatha or singing. Would the Sangha please rise and remain standing for the reflective reading led by Sensei on the Shin Buddhist life principles on page 9. But first, the texture of life is on page 157 in our service book.
And this Orange County book, they come up with this very clever process of putting the songs alphabetically so you can actually find them. So it's in the T's, the texture of life, the texture of life. So unfortunately, we don't have our, as Donna told you, our organist is out ill this morning, still doing tech work at home for us, Kathy Gumagai. But we're going to have to do this a cappella, and so you want to do everything you can to drown me out. So go on a count of 3.
Me too.
1, 2. The texture of the life I live, I weave in colors all my own. And as the present life unfolds, I reap what I have sown. My choices lead to joys and fears, the fruit of thoughts and words and deeds. My actions fill this world of ours with sunshine or with shade. Reflecting on my life again, with memory warm or coldly dim, I listen to the Buddha's words, give thanks and follow him. Namida Butsu, Namida Butsu, Namida Butsu, Namida Butsu. Thank you so much. As Donna asked you, please remain standing now for the devotional reading or reflective reading. Shin Buddhist Life Principles. This was developed by a committee. This is the best thing ever written by a committee. This This was written by a committee of the Yamaguchi-ken, the Yamaguchi Prefecture of Honshu, Japan, I think about 75, 80 years ago. I think it's just slightly older than myself. The Jodo Shinshu Seikatsu Shinjo, or in English, the Shin Buddhist Life Principles. Please join. Entrusting in the vow of the Buddha, calling out the Buddha's name. I will pass through the journey of life with strength and joy. Revering the light of the Buddha, reflecting upon my imperfect self, I will strive to live a life of gratitude. Following the teachings of the Buddha, discerning the right path, I will share the true Dharma with all. Rejoicing in the compassion of the Buddha, respecting and aiding all sentient beings, I will work toward the welfare of society and the world. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you very much. Please be seated. Well, again, good morning, and again, I'll repeat some of Donna's thanks. Thanks to Alan Goto for videography and tech support. Kathy Kumagai is still doing tech support for us at home. We do want to thank Kyoko Okura Gibbs for the flower arrangement and for preparing the Naijin and cleaning the area for us. And of course, again, Donna Mitoma for chairing the service. Now, you know, it's only a couple times a year that I actually set a title to these Dharma talks before I compose them. Usually I make up the title after I've composed it, since by that time I know what it's about. But today is one of those days, and the title of today's Dharma talk is Allowing Ourselves to Change. Positive change is possible. As individuals, as a society, as a planet, positive change is possible. That change is possible, we all know. That positive change is possible is something we must insist upon. Today, however, I want to look at just how positive change occurs. Positive change will not simply be a process of bringing forth what is within us. Other traditions see it otherwise. Buddhist and other religious traditions see this otherwise sometimes. There's some inner purity you're going to bring forth. That's certainly the Jain view. It's a kind of Hinduism. It's a kind of Christianity, that you have this purity inside you're going to bring forward. When Buddhists look inside, we find the same thing that's on the outside. This mixture of good, bad, indifferent, you know. I like the cartoon circling on the internet of the disciple going to the master on the mountain to get instruction. But in this case, the master is a hot dog, and he's wearing his robe, and the disciple is a sausage, and he's wearing his robe. And the master is giving the disciple some very good advice. He says, oh no, don't look deep within. Believe me, you don't want to know what's in there. This is the Buddhist view. It's not some purity that's going to we're all together here. There's good stuff on the surface. There's good stuff inside. There's bad stuff inside. There's all kinds of stuff everywhere. We are all in this together, and we must arise together. We must awaken together, not as separate individual subjective selves. Strictly based on what is within us, we're just going to keep on mulling over the same stuff and doing the same sorts of things. We need stimuli from without to move. We need stimulus from without to move us to changes that are wholesome. Now, our culture, many positive things about it, but our North American culture reinforces individuality at nearly every turn. Our culture tends to value inwardness, partly as a consequence, I suppose, of the stress on individuality. Then we look at the subjective inner feeling. When North Americans think about religion, we tend to think of it as being some sort of inwardness again. But inward is just one dimension of our lives. What our outward life is like can, will, and does alter what our inwardness is like. Our inwardness, our subjective feelings, come in part from how we act in the world and interact with others in the world. Part of what we are is social. Part of who and what we are is social. We ignore the social dimension of our lives at serious risk. The social dimension of our lives helps to create who and what we are. We are social beings. We are, in part, what others see us to be. How we lead others to see us transforms our subjective sense of ourself, our sense of who and how we are, how we act with others. We ignore the environmental dimension of our lives at grave risk. We share a root system with all living beings. And how I feel is not some fixed subjective matter, some private matter. You and I are impacted positively and negatively by family, by friends, by workplaces, by workplace environments, by cultural movements, by regional traditions, by religious traditions. Now, our specific religious tradition, Jodo Shinshu Hongwanji Ha, was the source for the song we sang and for the reflective reading we read just a little bit earlier. We went through the reading together at the service, but please allow me to look back over the song and the devotional reading, reflective reading with you a bit. Firstly, we sang the song, The Texture of Life. Let me suggest changing one word in the texture of life, one pronoun in the Gatha. Let's try replacing I with we. There's too much talk of I, me, mine in North America, also in England. That's why George wrote that song, I, me, mine. Too much I, me, mine, not enough we, us, ours. Replace the I, me, mine with we, us, ours, and we do well. So the original text of The Texture of Life reads, the texture of my life I live, I weave in colors all my own, and as the present life unfolds, I reap as I have sown. The new improved version that I'm suggesting is replace the I's with my's and the we with our, and so we get the texture of the life we live, we weave in colors all our own. And as the present life unfolds, we reap as we have sown. That's true. That's just true. Worded this way, it's just the objective truth of life. Do I deserve to breathe bad air and drink tainted water? No. I recycle, I reuse, and I'm kind of working on that reduce thing. Definitely recycle and reuse. So why should I be drinking poisoned water and breathing bad air? Do we human beings deserve to breathe bad air and drink polluted water? Well, deserve isn't a good term. I wouldn't want to use that term, really. But it certainly is our doing that the water isn't cleaner and the air isn't cleaner. We are reaping as we sow, so we better start sowing some different seeds. And in some areas we have. We citizens of California have, through the political process, significantly decreased the degradation of our air. The air was terrible in the greater Los Angeles areas 50 years ago. I lived here 72 to 73. Al has mentioned that you couldn't see the mountains from here. We're right there. You can't see the foothills from here 50 years ago. I have a lot of idiosyncratic favorites of movies, and one of the movies that's on one of the lists of the worst movies ever made was Trouble Man. I love it for the music, Marvin Gaye's soundtrack to Trouble Man. And so I watched the opening of Trouble Man because it has a different take on that song that you can get on the album, unless you have the soundtrack album. And so I play that over, that first 5 minutes of Trouble Man sometimes, and it shows him driving down Highway 1. My goodness, the air is so dirty, Start noticing that in movies from the 70s, if they're shot in LA, the air is so dirty. It's not anymore. Together we did something. We together did something. We deserved to breathe better air because we did something about it. Now we deserve to drink better water, so we better do something about it. We still got some work to do there. We are reaping as we sow, so we better start sowing some better seeds. This political process, this social process, substantially improved the quality of air that we breathe over the last half-centuries. The air was terrible, and it's much better now. It wasn't some tainted inwardness of mine that made things better. It was all of us acting together to change public policy. Let me look back with you at that second verse from the Texture of Life song. My choices lead to joys and fears, the fruit of thoughts and words and deeds. My actions fill this world of ours with sunshine or with shade. Again, if you make the pronoun inclusive, this is perfect. Our choices lead to joys and fears. Our subjectivity is based on what we do together. Our choices lead to joys and fears, the fruit of thoughts and words and deeds. It isn't some subjective inside thing that's there. It is what it is because of what I say and think and do along with all of you. So let me stick another inclusive pronoun in there for emphasis. Our choices lead to joys and fears, the fruit of our thoughts and words and deeds. We are all in this together. When you rise, I rise. What's more, this couplet attributes our inwardness to our actions in the world, which is what I like. Our choices lead to our joys and fears. Our subjective sense of fear or joy is the result of what we have thought and said and done objectively in this world together. Our thoughts and words and deeds. We can change the world, but we must also change ourselves. We must allow ourselves to change. Let me look back with you at the reflective reading we went through together a bit earlier. I won't spend too much time on this. The Seikatsu Shinjo, Shin Buddhist life principles. And trusting in the vow of the Buddha, calling out the Buddha's name, I will pass through the journey of life with strength and joy. Revering the light of the Buddha. Reflecting upon my imperfect self, I will strive to live a life of gratitude. Following the teachings of the Buddha, discerning the right path, I will share the true Dharma with all. Rejoicing in the compassion of the Buddha, respecting and aiding all sentient beings, I will work toward the welfare of society and the world. In particular, I'm interested just now in the first two lines here and the last three. The first two lines, and trusting in the vow of the Buddha. The vow of the Buddha is a promise to all. Once we see this promise clearly, it has an intrinsic persuasive force to it. Is there a promise to save all sentient beings? Is there a promise to free all living beings? Where there certainly should be, there must be. We must do it ourselves if necessary. But we don't have to do it alone. An awakening is underway, an awakening to sameness, an awakening to sharing, an awakening to oneness. A renewal is underway. We are part of a renewal that is occurring in reality itself. Mother Earth is working to rehabilitate herself, and we can be part of this overhaul, or not. Very briefly, and pretty much in closing, allow me to go over those last three lines of the Shin Buddhist life principles. Rejoicing in the compassion of the Buddha, respecting and aiding all sentient beings, I will work for the welfare of society and the world. This is all good. Rejoicing in the compassion of the Buddha, there is a reason to be happy. There is a promise. It is lifting us up and taking us where we need to go. There is a reason to rejoice. Rejoicing in the vow of the Buddha, respecting and aiding all sentient beings. I will work for the welfare of society and the world. I just want to look at that respecting and aiding all sentient beings, and I'd like to stress the matter of respecting. We can always do that, whatever else we do. whatever our situation, we can always be respectful. Most of you have heard 5 times my anecdote about the guy in Berkeley who asked for spare change. And I just said to him, he said, "Can you spare some change?" And I said, "No, I cannot." And he said, "What?" I said, "No, I cannot." And he responded, "Oh, well, that's cool. I asked you, could you spare some change? And you said, no, I cannot. That's cool. Most people just don't say anything, or they say, get a job. You said, I cannot. That's cool." You know, it was that I showed him respect, man to man, person to person. That we can always do that. There are always certain historical figures that you focus on, and one of my favorite historical figures is John Henry Holliday, Doc Holliday. Doc Holliday. I became a Doc Holliday fan because of Kirk Douglas, you know, the shootout at the OK Corral, 1958. Burt Lancaster and Kirk Douglas. And Burt was great. Burt was a great man. You know, he truly was a wonderful person. But Kirk just did this very impassioned version of Doc Holliday, but it caught my attention. I always had interest, and I read a little bit about him. And as I've told some of you, one thing that's true about Doc Holliday, he was basically the only gunman from the West who would shoot the gun out of people's hands. He would only fire a firearm from about 6 feet away. He carried a little firearm at the poker table. He didn't go out shooting in the streets very much, but he would pull that out, and if the guy was trying to kill him, he'd shoot the gun out of his hand. He did that several times. But one of his friends said the problem with Doc Holliday is he kept getting into fights because he wouldn't show respect for the other guy. And this friend of his said, you gotta leave the man his dignity. You know, if you're telling somebody off, if you're dressing them down, if you're telling them something they don't want to hear, you got to tell them. Still leave them a little shred of dignity, and that's what Doc Holliday apparently forgot to do, which is why he was in so many gunfights. Let's not be like Doc Holliday. Let's be forgiving and accepting, and always leaving some respect to the person, whatever we do. Do rejoice in the compassion of the Buddha. Enlightenment is happening. Renewal is occurring, and we are part of this renewal. Like it or not, we are changing. We must allow ourselves to be changed. We don't need to generate all the positive change from within our subjective, separate selves. We're in this together. Calling out the Buddha's name can help. Calling out the Buddha's name can help us to allow ourselves to change for the better. So shimasho. So shall we do so? Shall we say the Buddha's name aloud a few times? And those who don't mind, please join me at this juncture, the closing act of the Dharma message portion of our service. Excuse me. We rely upon the source of limitless wisdom and endless life. Namo Amida Butsu. 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 Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sensei. Your talk really resonated with me. This business about we. You know, as I grow older, I ask myself, do I want to be doing this? It's nice being retired, I gotta say. Do I want to be doing this with these people? Do I want to be spending time? How do I want to spend my time? You know? And the most important thing, I think, for me is, do I want to be doing this with these people? And that's why I'm part of the Sangha, because I love these people. It's very easy to be here. Everyone is patient. Everybody cares about everybody else. And we have little ones who are running around. That makes it really interesting.
That's how it's supposed to be.
And Ito's, it's not a problem bringing the little ones. You know, as a retired teacher, I would tell my students, you are going to be happiest when you find your people. And when I mean find your people, I mean find your community. It might be people who share the same major that you have. It might be a club. It might be, for my son, it was the Kendo club at Berkeley that totally changed the direction of his life, the trajectory of his life. He had been resisting Kendo. His Korean friend in high school kept telling him, you need to try this, you need to try this. I love it. I think you're going to love it too. And dang, he went to Berkeley and he found his people, and that is his life now. But anyway, I digress. May I ask everybody to please stand, and I'm going to do the closing reflecting reading. If we use our human life to accomplish spiritual realizations, it becomes immensely meaningful. By using it in this way, we actualize our full potential and progress from the state of an ordinary, ignorant being to that of a fully enlightened being, the highest of all beings. And when we have done this, we shall have the power to benefit all living beings without exception. Thus, by using our human life for gaining spiritual realizations, we can solve all our human problems and fulfill all our own and others' wishes. What could be more meaningful than this? Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you. You may be seated. So I'm wearing this jersey because last night was Japanese Heritage Night at Dodger Stadium. Brian Takeda, our friend in Pasadena, gathered all of us and we paid him for our tickets, and there was a special gate we went through, and the stadium was sold out. It was really fun, very crowded. And but they played the Angels. The Dodgers played the Angels, and the Dodgers are looking very good right now. Shohei Ohtani, there was 5 home runs hit that night. One from the Angels. Shohei Ohtani hit their home run, if I'm remembering correctly. Don't quote me on this. The others were from Dodgers. Shohei Ohtani did a home run. He did a triple. He did a double. He made all those hits. He didn't get a single, which was like it was a pretty extraordinary evening for him. However, the Angels are not a very good team. And the poor guy was on base all the time and wasn't able to come in and score a run. But anyway, that's an example of community. We were all kind of sitting together, all kinds of Pasadena Temple people and Nikkei seniors people and just general Pasadena people. And it was really a nice evening. That's what I mean about finding your community. So next we are going to do announcements. And I know, Sensei, you have an announcement, right?
Briefly, I will. Yeah, thank you, Donna. And I will be I'll be taking some vacation time next month, August, but we're here through July, so all the classes as usual. Tai Chi, 1 o'clock Tuesday and Thursday. Discussion class, 11 a.m. on Tuesday. Meditation class, 6 p.m. on Tuesday. Discussion class if people ask for it Tuesday. But we have the other thing Tuesday and Thursday now this week and next week, the oboe and dance practice. Yeah, so 7 p.m. if you want to come in and we will be instructed in how to do these Obon dances. So I hope to see some of you at those events. I have put fresh incense in the koro, so if you did not have a chance to offer incense before service, please do.
So speaking about Obon, we are busy getting ready for Obon, and if you would like to pre-order food, I think the deadline is maybe this week, end of this week. And you can pre-order beef chow mein, chirashi, both of which are very good. And then we're also going to have things like spam musubi, baked char siu bao, unagi maybe. Anyway, all kinds of other wonderful things. We're only going to be one day on Sunday, July 23rd, and it'll be great fun. I've gone to a couple of Obons already this summer, and it's very fun to see other people from other temples and to eat. Today is Nishi Hongwanji's Obon. It's always very large, so I hope to see you there. And if you go, wear your Pasadena Temple happy coat, because we like to see who's there from here. We have some extra coats if you don't have one. Any other announcements? Well, thank you everybody for coming today, and I hope you enjoy your week. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you.